Welcome back, everyone, to Worlds 2023. It's already our last best of one of the day and of the tournament, actually. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that.
Just walked into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're going full best of threes, right? Or am I completely losing my mind?
We are, yeah, because everyone will be at 2-1 or 1-2.
Exactly. That was actually a vehicle to talk about, the Swiss format. Hey. Anyways, we've got KT up versus Weibo, and you've been here in the middle of us the whole day, like the parents are fighting, but now it's your turn to get nervous, Maur. It's about KT.
Yeah, and as everyone who's ever seen me watch an LCK game will know, I do definitely get heavily emotionally invested. And for KT in particular, I think that this is an absolutely pivotal matchup. Now, I don't think that the play we've seen of KT so far has been bad by any means.
No.
I think that specifically the return of form for Lehends for me has been really big, but they're also known out of the teams that we have together with D+ to be a team that can kind of get in their own heads, and obviously the organization. So I'm not even just talking about the org, but like the players themselves have the reputation, and they also have the org, which obviously that's a whole nother can of worms when it comes to KT and letting people down.
Yeah, fair enough, but you got to kind of take things at face value, and what I have seen is super competitive game versus BLG, who is a very, very strong team in this tournament, and a super convincing game over D+ Kia, so...
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I think they have not let anyone down at all.
I agree. No,
I think that the BLG game, if it was literally any other top laner in the tournament and you sub them in on Cassante for BLG in that game, I think KT wins.
Yeah.
I think Bin was so crazy in that game, made such a difference. That was one of the most impressive individual performances I have personally seen in the entire tournament. So I don't think KT have anything to be ashamed of. I think as long as they are not frustrated by that loss and they can come into this and play like they have been, I think that's more than enough to take down Weibo.
And when you look at kind of the LCK, right, a lot of people would say they're the best team before the collapse happened in the regular season of summer. So what made them so good then?
So 100% KT, as mentioned, is a team that when they were able to always play their own game, aiming at Kai'Sa was a really big reason, I think, why they got such a long win streak. But just in general, the cohesion and the way they were able to play around side lanes was by far the best in the LCK. And it was all tied together by Lehends. And Lehends obviously was on Gen G, was on Griffin way back as well, together with Viper. And this man is a straight-up troll and professional actor, because the way he sells here against BLG as if they're going to try and contest this Drake, I think is exactly what was missing from him in the LCK playoffs, and a large reason why KT wasn't able to win against T1.
I mean, this was beautiful, right? He's even taking the Hex Gate like, oh, I'm setting up the flank, I'm setting up the flank.
Because they have no vision.
Is rushing down Baron. But KT, had such an impressive regular season. I think for BDD as well, it was such a return to form after last year, where he really did have a down year. BDD have been playing incredible for KT. I think Kiin as well is one of the guys that if you weren't watching them, you have to watch out for Kiin. You talked about the side lanes and Lehends being able to affect the map. A large part of that is the positions that Kiin was putting them in. He was really playing well, I think.
Yeah, it's true, and I guess often he was put on tank duty, but I think it made people forget that Kiin is very capable at playing the carries as well, right?
Particularly in the regular split, like his Quinn was probably one of the best games in the entirety of the LCK to look at, because he single-handedly, with the rest of the team enabling him, but he single-handedly like controlled an entire side of the map and hard carried the game, and we didn't really see that Kiin in playoffs.
Talking about their opponents then, Weibo, who are such a wild card, I want to say, because they have such a high skill ceiling on their players, but it just doesn't always all come together on the Rift. Is that a right assessment?
I think it is. It doesn't always work out, but someone who it feels like it has always been working out for so far this tournament is Weiwei.
Yeah.
I think, in the win and in the loss, he looked incredible. I think, in their regional qualifier as well, he was amazing for this team. Weiwei has impressed me so much. Back towards day one, Kobe was highlighting some of the jungle pathing, some of the things that he was getting done. He destroyed Energy with this early dive. It was light, it was crisp, creating the early advantage, but it was Weiwei slamming it down. And this guy has just been so on point for the team and has made such a difference, coming in, being able to be that explosive early game jungler, being able to team fight incredibly well. Like, he just needs to kind of do it all.
Also, should be added to the list of junglers that are not allowed to play Poppy anymore in this tournament. 100% needs to be taken away. And I think that... yeah, as Azil was pointing out, I think that is one of the most reliable things of Weibo. Outside of that, I do think that, obviously, as any LPL fan will know, they have been very up and down, very hit or miss. And in that light, I'm also looking towards the top half of the map, because I think that Kiin, even though he's start looking a little bit better, needs to respect Weiwei and not fall into the trap that many players do against TheShy and Weiwei.
Absolutely, but to speak about the individual skill of these guys, I've been hearing so many scrim rumors about how impossible it is to play against Weibo, and we even had a tweet coming out, from Energy, one of their coaches, Croissant, did a top 30 list that was based purely on scrims, based on how he actually saw those scrims. We also had Palafox talking about how Xiaohu was the best individual player that he had played. He was the mid laner that was absolutely roasting him, absolutely destroying him. So if we can pull up that list, it's really kind of fun to see, how highly ranked they have all of these players. So this is the top 30. This is from Croissant. He tweeted this out. Look at 1 through 5. It's all Weibo. They were getting crushed by Weibo in scrims.
It's such a good example. I think when you look at them, you have TheShy, who what his ceiling is. The problem is he hasn't been hitting it as often, but maybe that's a chance to grow throughout this tournament. For the rest, Weiwei, stellar. Xiaohu, a legacy champion of the game already doing exceptional work. That bot lane is sick. Yeah, okay, Light is not ruler, but he's really damn good as well. So I think they're such an interesting team for me to watch if they get it together. There
is also the fact that I think for both of these teams, for Kiin and Xiaohu specifically, their performances at Worlds haven't really been indicative of their respective peaks. And I think that a game like this can be a really good example to show that you're able to, in case of Xiaohu, obviously maintain his MSI form, because this man has won more MSIs in multiple roles than many other players could hope.
You set us up for this beautifully, and I hope it is going to be as close as we hope it is going to be. Let's
I don't hope it's close.
I do. For KT versus Weibo.
Thank you so much, Shanks, Chronicler, and Azael. I really hope this one delivers because we've had a great day so far. KT versus Weibo Gaming, I would assume this one should be pretty close as well, just looking at the way these two teams have played so far.
I think there's a very good chance that this could be one of our better games of the day. It could be the best one. I mean, these two teams have such scrappy play styles. I think KT has come with some really unique takes this tournament. We did see them shut down the Ziggs incredibly well when they played against D+ Kia. And creativity is something we don't always see from KT. They often master a style and use it repeatedly, but already this Worlds, they've shown us some different stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing what their take on Weibo is going to be in this final matchup.
Yeah, and I think this is just really unlucky for both of these teams. They're potentially the two best teams in this 1-in-1 pool, and they have to play against each other. So I think we definitely saved the highest quality gameplay for last.
Absolutely. That's what I would expect, at least. We'll see how this game does pan out, as already the Xayah's going to be taken off the board. Aiming not going to be allowed to play that one. He's great at the Kai'Sa, though, as well, so that's pretty interesting if you're taking away the Xayah, because a lot of teams don't want to pick the Kai'Sa into the Xayah, as the Kalista also going to be targeted in the AD carry pool.
Yeah, Xayah much rarer for aiming to actually pick. Rakan gone for Lehends as well, so targeted twice in this draft. No Alistar, no Rakan. But as you mentioned, aiming much more known for his Kai'Sa. He did defeat D+ with that Xayah pick, but it may be that this Kai'Sa, once again, that he's so known for, finds success. And it is a little bit surprising to see things like the Alistar prioritized over aiming's best pick this year.
Yeah, again, Orianna falls through the pick ban at the moment. I could see Xiaohu picking that immediately in the 1-2 right here. But with Xayah banned, it is a very designed trade. We're seeing more and more of this in terms of just somewhat target banning on the red side and then having more OPs get through. But I look at those bans like Xayah and Rakan being banned is really a hard hit towards aiming in Lehends.
Now we'll see the Orianna come through. Vi being hovered here for Weiwei. Strong mid 2v2 power here and a lot of single target pick. See if this does end up getting locked in. Xiaohu.
Man, how is Rumble just so
keeps
present
coming through.
today?
Yeah, it just keeps coming through every game. It feels like it's going to make it through once again.
And it's still available as well as the Sylas. Could be something that they look at. BDD not necessarily known for his Sylas play, but we'll have to wait and see. The Alistar is also banned, so not 100% sure. The Nautilus going to be potentially selected here as a duo partner for the Kai'Sa in the bottom lane.
Now, I think some of the things that BDD considering here, the Sylas you mentioned, definitely a big opportunity, but the Azir, which is also available here, I think is one that has been one of his best picks throughout his entire career. It's one Xiaohu used, actually, in the last matchup they played, where they were, of course, taken out by G2. The Neeko here, on the other hand, feels pretty risky. I'd much rather see the Azir. I'd much rather see the Azir.
No. You still have some time.
Yes,
you can swap. No.
I don't like it, but we'll see, because I just think Orianna, if played well, can just dominate the range in this matchup. It can make it so difficult for BDD to find the right initiation. But we'll see. Azir's right there. I think Azir's a great pick in the situation. We'll see how the Neeko works.
And it's BDD as well. I saw Cuzz kind of smiling and nodding his head, so there is still potential to have that Neeko flex. We did see Canyon play it to an incredible level in the LCK in the jungle, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
That's a good point, because that is one way I think you can alter this draft and really throw a curveball in a lot of ways. Otherwise, this draft feels very straightforward. It feels very predictable. And I look at, okay, you've got dive follow-up for Neeko ult. You have Nautilus. That feels pretty good. But I'm looking on the other side at Orianna, Rumble, and Jarvan, and I'm like, well, that's just a better version of everything you've locked in right now. So I really hope that KT do have something else to show us here, because Weibo playing as meta as it gets here at Worlds in all S tiers.
Lorella going to be taken off the board. I thought maybe, you know, with already a lot of AD carries banned away, you could potentially target that one, unless we're going to see Orianna bot, which we haven't seen. So let's see where we do go. Will we see more jungle picks taken away? Will they even consider the Neeko flex and still ban an Azir or something like that? Would be kind of interesting to have Azir and Neeko, a lot of AP already, but let's see where Weibo do want to go. It will be the Nocturne actually taken off the board.
I'm just trying to think what Nocturne is a really good ban there, because Nocturne Neeko is a great way to actually bypass the range disadvantage that you have with Neeko. Team Comp's not going to make that much sense if they do throw Neeko in the jungle, because they like Azir, Jax would have to be their top jungle, which Azir Neeko is a little bit strange. I do think it's mid lane, and I think it's pretty smart that Weibo didn't throw ban to Azir.
Let's see what Light is going to play here. We're going to get a pretty good idea in just a moment. Well, we might get the support pick first, and that AD carry will continue to be hidden here. But, I mean, Tristana is still available. Zeri is still available. You have so much frontline and just hard engage. And it is going to be more engaged here with this Leona. And Leona is fantastic against Neeko. You spot Neeko on a flank, you just toss in the Solar Flare, you follow up with Zenith Blade, boom, that Neeko flank, shut down completely, and you can just turn onto the Neeko so easily. I really like the Leona here for Crisp.
Yeah, and I think Crisp is also an OG Leona player. It was one of his big picks when he won the 2019 World Championship on FPX. Now this would be...
That would probably be for Kiin, by the way. Yeah. If it is Ryze, he plays Ryze top. He's one of the only players who does. Singed, a hover, a tease.
All right, Lehends. We see ya.
I mean, I don't think there's any world where we see Nautilus mid, Neeko jungle. I mean, you have Viego locked in. Like, what he's just trying to get cheers from the crowd. Cassante gonna get locked here as the final pick. Gives you a front line. And I mean, if you can layer Neeko's ult into Cassante Q knockups, you have the Nautilus, and then Kai'Sa follows up, and there's a world where you get a single pick, Viego resets. But on the other side here, I mean, Sivir is going to give you so much map control. You have so much wave clear and great follow-up for those engages.
Yeah. You wouldn't be able to fall behind the Kai'Sa individually, but for the team comp, it's actually very good. Another thing that can just silence the Nautilus ult a little bit if you keep your range. It's really good against Neeko if you just wait for it to pop up in the air to reduce the burst damage. So I am a big fan of the Weibo draft so far.
I really hate to say it, but I think KT's comp in isolation on its own is not a bad composition. If you ended up getting this because you took away so many power picks from Weibo, I look at KT Rolster and say, well, it isn't as meta as some of the other comps we've seen in this tournament, but it's got single target, it has resets for Viego. But Weibo just got the top tiers. They have such great answers to the Neeko engage as well. I really have to lean in their direction for this final draft.
Yeah, I'd say, if anything, the bot lane of Weibo is heavily deprioritized. Sivir Leona is not something we've seen that much of, whereas Kai'Sa Nautilus seems very cookie cutter for the World Championship. And KT, if they do get ahead, have a lot of ability to pull the trigger and engage fights. So that individual skill of KT, can they just outlane Weibo, get a big lead, then with these two team comps, both of them just go in. So we could see a snowbally game here.
Yeah, I mean, KT Rolster, one of the teams we had in summer as the most dominant, right? This team was just on a huge roll. They kind of fell short when it came to playoffs, but these guys do know how to kind of win lane and then go from there and win game. We'll have to wait and see how proactive Lehends as well is on the map. He might be a pretty important piece of the puzzle if he does end up going to mid and trying to make some plays as well.
It is a really tense one for KT. D+ already dropped down. KT, you drop down here, you're 1 and 2. It's really important for the LCK region as a whole to take this win.
We'll see who ends up with it. Fan cheers are out here for KT with the home crowd. I heard some scattered cheers for Weibo as well.
They're certainly not the home favorites, but they've got their fans here as well.
Absolutely. And guys, you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive experimentation emote. It's very fiery as well, as I would expect this game should be.
Yeah, Light might be flashing that a little bit with the Sivir. It's not necessarily fully experimentation, but it is definitely something we haven't seen much of here at the World Championship. As they mentioned on the analyst desk, Light and Crisp really dominated the lane in their early victory against Energy. Never know.
It's rare to see the teleport on the Rumble these days because obviously you have the Ignite kill pressure in a lot of matchups, but into Cassante in particular and with Viego as well, there's a little bit of a riskier choice. I actually prefer the teleport in this scenario for TheShy because it's going to allow him to return to lane very easily. It can be a little bit more of a side lane threat and then come back to team fights later on. He's going to trade aggressively here nonetheless, but that kill pressure just not so much there in this matchup.
Nice dodge from TheShy. Definitely going to be keeping our eyes on this one. Kiin versus TheShy. Definitely a couple of guys that can look to try to dominate lane and be very aggressive. And we've seen what this Cassante can do as well. Don't be fooled. He's, not always the guy just sitting back, tanking up for the team. Sometimes he's the one going the deepest, even with the other champs in the lineup.
Yeah, I don't see much about these early jungle paths other than they're matching different sides. I think TheShy is going to have Weiwei up top when he needs it. So Kiin has to be a little careful not to get too poked out as TheShy pushes this wave in. Otherwise, he could try and prep that wave for an early dive.
Yeah, certainly could. Is controlling this very well. Weiwei pathing top side here, and that is, of course, going to give them the numbers advantage. Down here on the bottom side of the map, Aiming and Lehends hitting level 2 first to break through some of those minions. And my concerns with KT's comp and not how it's going to function in the early game. It's not how it's going to function in team fights per se. It's just simply that there are ways to shut down what their composition does best. And I think Crisp is going to be a huge aspect of this. I think Xiaohu is going to be a huge aspect of this because what Neeko needs oftentimes is either a front line to set her up to ult or map control or a flank, right? And flanks are where she is going to be at her most vulnerable against Weibo's composition. If KT fall behind, then BDD's life is going to be very difficult when he wants to do his job.
Yeah, and there's so many things that can mark him as well. Like if Crisp finds him on the outside, he'll just initiate on him straight away. And like Cassante's another champion who, like, yes, he's kind of a front line, but he's a bit of a flanking tank. Yeah. So very, very high. We just keep talking about how high the barrier of execution is for this KT team composition.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just talking about Lehends getting active on the map, level 3, trying to make a play, or at least support on the top side of the map, and maybe make this a double scuttle angle for Cuzz. As we do see the positioning of Weiwei, they have identified that he's gone blue to red into the top side of the map, and that ward is going to spot him out as well. We'll see if Kiin can stay safe, or if Weibo will pill off a good gank and a dive, but it does look like Kiin is just going to get out, and that's double scuttle to Cuzz.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Lehends escorting this through, of course, seeing Weiwei topside means that Cuzz knows he can pull this off, will rush it down, and then Lehends will return to lane. A bit of a later back there on the bottom side of the map. Very quiet early game here, as you know, compared to especially some of the games we've seen this tournament where it's action all the time.
And KT, as well as Weibo, are in a precarious situation. I think for KT, it would almost be more tragic if they lost this game to fall to 1 and 2, just because of what they've been through since the summer split ended. They were the #1 seed in the LCK playoffs. All 5 of their players were first-team All-Pro. They decide to play against T1 when they can choose their opponent. They lose that one. It drops them to the #3 seed. That #3 seed leads them to these ridiculously difficult draws that they've had so far here. And they're just such a good team, but they've been like all of their losses as well have been really close losses,
Yeah.
right? Even the T1 losses, they were losing in game 5s.
Yeah, that Guma-Xayah game, you know, that game could have gone either way. It was so incredibly long, one of the craziest games of our entire LCK split, if not the craziest, and one of the crazier series.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. And, I mean, KT have been on the cusp of greatness for so long as an org. I mean, it's been so many years since they've even been here at Worlds, and to drop down to 1-2, you know, with D+ already falling early, it really would be such a tragic way for the LCK to have 2 weaker representatives as well. Not saying it's over. It's never over till it's over, but it says a lot about the region.
Here comes Lehends. He's going to hit that hook on a light somehow through the Leona, it felt like, as Cuzz is here.
All right.
But at the end of the day, I think they realize, okay, they can't really get much out of this, and we do see Weiwei out of vision trying to make his way down here, as well as BDD in the river. A lot of tense moments so far in this one. It is certainly a bait, it feels like, for both sides. Although now they should be able to ping that BDD is not here, you would imagine. But Weibo are sticking around, and they're going to get engaged on is now Lehends. That's going to be first blood going the way of Weiwei, but he will immediately be taken down in the trade.
That's like putting your hand as bait when you're catching a fish, like a really, really powerful fish, maybe shark bait. Not a great idea because it's going to cost you maybe more than the reward. Giving away first blood to Weiwei to only get the counter kill on Cuzz, not necessarily worth it because you also lose the mid lane push to Xiaohu. Nice play by Weibo.
That was a really nice play from Weibo. Good reaction from Weiwei, identifying that he could, you know, force this to be their first pick there, and was likely going to die either way. But really quick reaction time there. No expending of his flash either.
And Lehends is level 4. He's like, okay, oh, there's 2 Lehenses now. That's BDD. As Weiwei's just going to get out. Weiwei would just love to get 1 Scuttle Crab, but so far it's 3 for 0.
Power farming Viego is a scary thing. Getting those additional, you know, camps is going to get him closer and closer to that first item. As we'll watch this again. BDD coming down here. They have a control ward. Crisp gets rooted, and then instantly Weiwei just identifies, like, I'm not getting out of here. Yeah. BDD is missing. He's going to ult me, so I'm going to trade this back 1 for 1. And he gets first blood.
Yeah, really good burst. Absolutely worth it for someone who didn't get any Scuttle Crabs. That's going to equalize his gold fairly close. He's only 200 gold down despite losing all 3 Scuttle Crabs. And I think we agree, Weibo probably has slightly better late game team fighting. So if they can just go even in these early laning phases, they're going to be pretty comfortable.
This one is going to get pretty interesting. Now it's Crisp's turn to be out on the map, but BDD looks like he does feel that pressure and moves to the left side of his lane just to make sure. This top lane has looked pretty contentious as well as Kiin. This time maybe looking for the angle. He is going to go all out now. Hits the Q3 onto TheShy, who doesn't have his flash, and everybody is here. We got 3 members of KT trying to get on top of the TheShy, and they will be able to take him down. BDD picks up a kill.
This is huge. I mean, that's going to be a big momentum shifter here in this one, especially if you consider how ahead TheShy was in farm. He's taken out here, and finally, you put BDD on the board here with Cuzz picking up a kill, and gold lead goes into KT's favor, but it's plays like this that make you feel KT knows so much their win conditions, and if the Rumble is way too far forward, they have great single target pick. We've talked about it so much since the draft.
Yeah. TheShy gets the minions. KT gets his life, and then it looks like they're trading neutral objectives. Rift Herald for the first Chem Tech Drake. Good start to what we're hoping is a banger game.
Yeah, definitely a pretty sizable lead after that one to the side of KT, but we talked so much about what Weibo's comp can do, so definitely not down and out at this point by any means in this game, as here's BDD, or is it Lehends? Does Weibo have any idea about this very tricky play? Very, very tricky. They have no idea! They both get caught by it! The double root comes in! Will anybody actually go down? It's Aiden! Will assassinate Chris!
What an incredible play! He comes down, disguises himself as Lehends, not only hits the ultimate there, but then gets the double root, and they have enough damage, aiming on the follow-up on his signature Kai'Sa, and KT, they strike back a second time in this game.
And we'll see if Weiwei can counter this.
Yeah, he's gonna flash on in and trade flashes, but Lehends still here. It doesn't look like aiming's getting out, but the damage is going in onto Weiwei. Can they trade it back? Yes, he will! As the kill will go, but it's traded as light. Will take him down and take control of this lane.
I really want to see that BDD play again. And I can imagine it from Weibo's perspective. So some people are wondering, why didn't they realize that the mid laner wasn't missing? But look at what they do here. This is basically Lehends backs up, and it's like he just walks behind a door and comes back through the door again. So you're not going to suspect it. It's not like there's two Nautilus on the screen. And look how far back he's staying as well. So it seems like exactly the same duo lane gets in range to ult both, and they can secure the kill.
And it's so critical that he hits the double root there to keep them in place to do that additional damage. Now Weiwei comes down here, and aiming does have flash, didn't have to use on the previous play. Also, Lehends hits level 6 and has ultimate. They pop the passive onto Weiwei, and aiming just barely is able to trade this kill back.
Meanwhile, Lehends, he's doing Lehends things. He's in the mid lane, trying to make some plays. It's not going to amount to too much. And Xiaohu's just going to walk that one out.
BDD hasn't used the cannon minion yet, so he really trusts their ability to count minions. But, I mean, they can count Nautilus as well, too. They're just not showing two of them at once. I just love that BDD play. That was so good.
KT with some tricks in this tournament. We saw the fake dragon by Lehends just a few days ago. Really kind of bring a unique flair that we don't always see from KT. It's normally Kiin who brings that type of new champion, new strategy. But it's been everywhere else. We're seeing it from KT here at Worlds.
And this gold lead has actually gotten pretty big. 1,700 gold right now. A lot of plates in the mid lane. Looks like that's where they used the Herald. So BDD still does have a lot of threat with Kiin being in the river right now, making it difficult for Xiaohu to push up on this Orianna. So far, making us eat our words a little bit, this Neeko has looked great in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have this much of an impact, which is not necessarily what we normally see, it can certainly turn the tides of the game as we see this player matchup between Cuzz and Weiwei. Cuzz able to get 3 Scuttle Crabs early on, able to affect that bottom lane, and has been catapulted into a 92 CS position.
Yeah, and again, a really high-pressure game. Sure, every game of the World Championship is high pressure, but when I think, you know, it says LCK3 versus LPL4, I just feel like KT is probably under much more pressure. Like, the expectations of being an LCK team and not making bracket stage, like, in Worlds history, 12 years of Worlds, only 2 Korean teams have ever not made it out, as we might have a fight in River.
Well, really wanting that Scuttle Crab as in goes BDD, catches 2 of them, and the teleport flank from Kiin is perfect. Where did that ward even come from? Big equalizer, though, from TheShy. Can they turn this one around? He's doing insane amounts of damage as KT fight on it, but it doesn't matter. It's a double kill over to Kiin, and here comes Cuzz as he's looking for more, but it will be the Orianna W to slow them down.
And it's in these choke points where KT are finding the angles for BDD. They're using their front line incredibly well. Cuzz comes through, buys enough space for BDD's flash engage. He does end up going down at the end of the day. Ooh, light. We'll get out of there. But KT are picking this team apart. And yes, TheShy comes through. He's also fighting in a choke point. He's Rumble, so he's going to do a ton of damage here. But it looks like you have numbers advantage here as Weibo. But look at this. BDD, once again, disguised as Nautilus, is going to get the flash engaged. Cataclysm here, not going to do anything for you. And then Cuzz can get into the back line. Crisp is kidnapped by Kiin. And if TheShy is better set up here, if Weibo play this slower, maybe you get the damage done and you can front to back this, but they just get jumped on. In KT, we didn't trust this comp would always work, but they are being so proactive with it.
Exactly, and since both teams have so much engage, we did think there was a high possibility of this game snowballing. So if KT can get a big advantage early, as they have, that's their window, because what does Weibo do to win this game? They engage. But if BDD's super fed, if Cassante and Viego are super fed, you engage first. You just give Viego that reset.
Lehends just going for a little walk here. Doesn't seem to care. Wow. Now he's going to turn it onto Weibo, understanding that they could be there and totally turning the tides. That's another kill into the hands of aiming.
That is the most agile Nautilus I have ever seen. He tap danced around all of those engages and immediately turned it around. That was perfect.
But I think this is an overextension here from Weibo, because you have Drake available, you've got a little bit of control over the river, and look at this. I mean, this is a massive lead across the board here for KT, but you had river control, you didn't have vision on the left side of the Drake pit. You're kind of banking on killing Lehends here on this Nautilus when you could have taken almost any other approach. And I think you can really feel the pressure is on Weibo Gaming here. Yeah. They want to force these picks even when they don't have full information, and it comes back to bite them.
It absolutely does, as TheShy just kind of hanging out in the top lane for a while. After that one is now Kiin looking for Another Natofo strike. He is going to miss that one, but he is getting on in there. Not able to get him into the wall, but Kiin is still going on in. He is pretty confident to look for this kill. The Q is going to miss, though. And Kiin will back off of this one. Just a pretty pure run at the guy and try to kill him.
I mean, TheShy really playing on limits there. There were about 2 things that very nearly killed him. If he's a little bit closer to the wall, Kiin takes him to his teammates, free kill. If he lands that 3rd Q, it's another kill onto TheShy. So really, the 2 kills that Kiin has been able to pick up has put him in a really big power spike right now where TheShy can't push the way Rumble wants to push. So it makes it really difficult to set up the right team fights.
Yeah, he even grabbed that mid turret. Speaking of turrets, bottom turret completely open here. They're setting up a potential dive, so Light doesn't feel, even with his spell shield here, very comfortable that he can actually hold on to this. They need way more resources. See if they commit.
I mean, the resources are coming down here, but Lehends is in position.
Gotta be fast.
See, no, he's just gonna hop out of that one as they spot them, and that's that deep vision that Lehends just put down. Will spot them rotating on over.
Really good restraint. There was a lot of, you spend all that time walking behind the turret, you're thinking the whole time, I'm gonna kill this Sivir, and you know what? Sometimes it's just not worth it because they're gonna chase him down.
So look at the lack of information here for Weibo to everyone else being on the left side. They have control over the river. They could have kited back and gone for Drake, but they decided to go for Lehends. His sidestep is great, but you don't have follow-up onto a Nautilus. Maybe you catch a Squishy, maybe you catch Kai so you could burst her down, but unfortunately that play was just not meant to be. And that's the turret down now as well. Mid turret down by Kiin. Bottom turret taken out by aiming, and this gold lead, it was small, now it's ballooned.
Yep, and KT is in their comfort zone. Aiming currently 7,000 gold at 16.5 minutes. Mythic complete, so Ginsu's and Stormrazor, the first player in the game to reach 2 items. That's the way KT likes it. Get the resources on aiming and let him cook.
Yeah, and this is a guy that, you know, over the years and over, you know, the spring season wasn't really the guy to look for, but really stepped into his own in playoffs. And now, when it comes to this big pressure stage that we've been talking about, they rely on him. They say, okay, you're going to be the carry. And he has so much gold. I wouldn't be surprised if he does exactly that. Also, Cuzz so far ahead. This isn't like a low damage jungler. This is a Viego with 137 CS, who's near 2 items himself. As now, TheShy is in a lot of trouble. Do they have the damage? Those Leona ult is going to zone aiming quite a bit as now Lehends on the run here. Cuzz does come in and the TP, and everybody on KT is here as the Sivir is nowhere near. So it's just going to be KT taking a free kill.
I don't care if it's a Leona with Eclipse, it doesn't matter. I don't care if that's your turret, I'm gonna make it happen.
Here they go.
Okay, they're gonna spot him. That is BDD, not Kiin. But meanwhile, it's just, you know, Weiwei going in, face shaking in the jungle. It's gonna be another turret that goes down to the Rift Herald.
This is a massacre for KT so far. That's a 7,000 gold lead at 18 minutes. Weibo just do not have any answers. KT is so coordinated. They are moving around the map so well. It is moderately exciting for KT fans to see the 7,000 gold lead.
No, I was telling you guys the reason why we had to be so negative about KT's draft is we just didn't want to get excited in any way. But look at that gold difference over time. You mentioned it, 7,028, the peak of it in this game. Cuzz has now picked up his 2nd item here, the Cleaver in pocket. One needlessly large rod here for BDD, who hasn't picked up that many of the kills this game. It's been mostly aiming, who secured those with his Qs, with his ults to follow up on those good engages. And for Weibo here, there is a path back in. It's not completely doomed, but it is going to rely on very slow and patient play here, and they very likely are just going to simply have to give this dragon up. Now look at TheShy ulting to clear this wave to try to keep the turret alive, but it's hopeless. It's doomed. Lehends is on top of him, and there's just nothing he can do. He goes very, very low, and then Chris tries to turn this, which is, you know, you have an Orianna nearby, maybe you can pull something off, but unfortunately, he's just alone on the top side.
He absolutely was. Maybe not expecting Lehends to be quite that deep in his own team's jungle, but Lehends will do that. He will find that angle. Still just level 8. He's looking to actually get in onto Weiwei, who just immediately flashes out. He doesn't want any piece of that. It's now Xiaohu in a little bit of trouble. It is going to be another flash garnered as the follow-up comes in, and there is the auto. But they can't quite follow up on Xiaohu. That is a lot of stuff just thrown into an Orianna that they do not get. The equalizer is perfect. It totally zones KT into this fight. And chat, what have you done? KT, somebody got excited for these guys as they have gone way too deep. And Lehends is going to get caught off as well. Kiin, okay, he's got a very nice angle. As I immediately counter curse it, Xiaohu is looking for a little bit more. Kiin is alone. 1v3 and down he will go. And Weibo
realistic. I'm sorry, but currently Weibo does know how to fight. KT just expended so many cooldowns without actually getting a kill onto the carries, and that is a massive turn for Weibo.
So KT's game plan here, Drake is up. They decided Weibo not going to fight this. They're going to play topside. We're going to group and match them. Look at the map control they have right now, KT, to try to force this. They also have bottom side control. Instead of just taking the free Drake here, they want to further their lead, and they way overcommit into a team that has insane turn. You are Kai'Sa aiming. You're not going to be able to turn and burn this one, unfortunately, and KT are just forced away. Really nice ults here by Weibo, but we have to really emphasize KT could have just taken the free objective with the map control they had. They wanted to push their lead even further and not give Weibo the opportunity to trade that for top turret, get any additional farm, but they got punished.
Got to really worry about the slingshot here as well because objective bounties are up. The Mountain Drake. Are objectives up? Bounties, I think they fell.
They were.
They were up, but they fell, which is beneficial for KT as they can just move towards this Mountain Drake. 5,000 goal lead. Still very strong position in the game. The fear, though, would be the 2-0-2 Orianna and the 2-0-4 Sivir because they have the potential to kite back and outrange the hard engage of KT.
Yeah, that's what Sivir can do that Kai'Sa won't be able to do. We talked a lot about in our previous game. I mean, Kai'Sa does have strong damage output, Rage Blade's done, but the Sivir is just going to speed up the entire team, allow you to follow up and chase, and then just do free damage from range. And she'll quickly rip through Kasante's health bar once she gets that third item online.
Yeah, she definitely will. I think that KT, after that play, they're like, okay, let's hold our horses a little bit, take the objectives now. And they do get that Mountain Drake, as well as clearing out entire vision over the Baron. They certainly do have a comp that could potentially try to rush this one down. Their turn is very nice, what with the Neeko and the Nautilus, and you've also got that extra damage from the jungle as well with this fed Viego, so something that they could look for. We'll have to wait and see if they do.
I think if they are to do that, they don't want BDD in the pit. I'd love to see him hiding around as Kasante in the jungle or something, because the whole purpose of the Baron in this case would actually be to flip it, but it's mainly to get Weibo to close the gap. So put them in a situation where they're not outranging or wave clearing, because it will be a little bit tricky for KT to get them into that spot.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about Orianna wave clear, Sivir wave clear, this is some of the best wave clears you have in the game. Rumble, nothing to shake a stick at either. So KT need to try to maintain as much of that control as they can. They've gotten vision away here of the Baron pit. This is massive. This allows them a little bit more freedom to set up for that BDD engage you were talking about. Kiin has teleport, so he can join this fight. Shy does not, so he's going to back right now and head towards the Baron pit. This does open up a huge opportunity for KT to find those engages. They're still massively ahead in gold here. They need this Baron win to solidify the position once again.
Yeah, and I think for Weibo, they're just waiting for KT to overextend again. If they have vision on the Baron, they know they're not starting it. They can wait for them to extend into the jungle, where Weibo do have current control over the map, even though it is a small slice. Could be enough for them to take a fight. But let's see, as KT are hovering around this Baron and considering it, that's going to spark a blue trinket ward to come out.
Basically, that control ward right next to Crisp is what Weibo needs to be able to hold. If they lose control of that area, it becomes much easier for KT to be able to start the Baron.
Speaking of, Cuzz going to come over here, clear this ward with a sweeper, then we'll be able to take out the control ward. He doesn't need the sweep as the sweeper expires. Put that mist around. Kiin continue to push. TheShy does have his teleport back up now, so can match Kiin's push here and then join the fight. Crisp gonna back here and return. KT have decent damage with this composition, but remember, this is a Neeko sitting on 1.5 items right now, so it's not like you can rush this Baron down by any means.
Well, something that's really cool is Aiming wasn't using any spells on the wave there, so there were two Kaisas, and it was actually hard to tell, like indistinguishable which one was which until he uses that W. Now they can know, but I think KT is trying to use all these little tricks just to keep Weibo on their, unbalanced.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a tricky team. We see the 80 carry matchup right now, Aiming about 1,200 gold ahead. Some of those extra kills coming into play.
But it is, of course, important to note that these 280 carries do very different things, and that gold gap was much more significant earlier in the game than it is now if Weibo can get that engage or extend the fight in avoiding KT, the Pop Blossom from BDD or Kiin getting a huge knockup.
But Wolf, I can't believe how unlucky this KT team is. How is it possible that I say the word excited in Korea on the English broadcast and it immediately pays off? I thought...
What are the chances?
Chat, that doesn't make sense.
Everybody knows, and you know too. I appreciate you going on the bit, but KT
I know.
do not.
I'm not a... The thing is, I do this because I'm such a not superstitious person.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I used to be like you before I joined the LCK. I was young once, you know.
Times have changed.
I was a new League of Legends commentator being like, this meme is kind of old and tired at this point.
And then you use it once, and the game immediately stalls.
You realize its power. You gain a new respect.
Because it's
for
really
the E word.
It's really scary now because KT are having a hard time fighting Weibo, and the Sivir and Orianna are getting stronger and stronger.
It's so difficult for KT to make the call to go in because you only get one chance. You only get one engage, and you have to go all in on it. So even if you have control, if Weibo just kind of wait and sit back, that Sivir's getting stronger and stronger. You've got good wave clear, and you know eventually maybe you take a fight on the Dragon instead of the Baron that KT have control over. BDD lurking here, trying to set up for a play. Look at the positioning of Chris blocking that engage. We talked about Leona watching those flanks for the Neeko, and he's doing it again here.
Kind of an insane just battle here in the jungle, trying to get vision at this point in time as KT wanted to be really deep if they do eventually go for this Baron. They're no T1 to just kind of send it into a Baron, especially with this Neeko.
Aiming is just so fed, though. 3 completed items. I think at this point, KT is taking the conservative approach. They're going to get this 3rd Mountain Drake, start the Soul Timer, because 1, they're so burst heavy. If they give Mountain Drakes over to Weibo, they'd actually get outscaled. But 2, it's just the correct play because a Mountain Soul will allow them to be a lot more aggressive.
And also, I mean, KT, they had control of Baron. They forced Weibo to clear vision. They come over here. That 3rd item you mentioned for aiming is a very unique spike because it is, of course, the Nashor's Tooth, which is going to allow him to offer a decent amount of poke back. And that's, for the first time, KT actually able to say, all right, we're not just a low-range, all-in engaged composition. I can slowly chip away at that front line. I can make Weibo Gaming really work to clear that vision and eat some of that damage. And slow playing like this for the Mountain Soul is definitely going to be the better option. Now, Weibo has some opportunities during these moments when the Dragon is taken to come over here and try to get some vision back, but they're not going to go too deep for this. I say that.
That's a pretty big ward clear.
Yeah, it is a Jarvan. You can see he's like, oh, never mind, I'm Jarvan, but I don't care.
That's how tense this game is. It is on a 2-hit point ward, knife's edge. You can't commit. You got to get out. You don't have vision, and you just can't clear that vision in the Baron pit. You want to so badly, but you're not going to throw the game over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look at Crisp's items as well. I would love for him to get a Mythic before Weibo do decide to fight in this game, 27.5 minutes in.
Well, I feel like he's probably had to spend so much money on control wards and just replacing them and basing and replacing them as basing because, as we say, like, these brushes in their red side jungle, they're just holding them and they're replacing them over and over. If they ever lose all of the control wards around the red buff, it just makes it impossible to check the Baron. But as of currently, they're spamming gold on control wards, and they've gone triple blue trinkets, so they're not walking into any traps.
Yeah, lots of additional armor with the Randuin's picked up here as well for Kiin, and I feel like the setup here is quite nice for strong frontline. There's a lot of MR in this comp, even a Verdant Barrier picked up here for aiming. They are going to live through some of those ults, right? If the Orianna ult is huge, you know, maybe aiming actually lives through it, ults, gets his shield up, and does a ton of damage to that Orianna, but they're starting it up finally here. Weiwei, no vision.
Yeah, they finally decide to start it, and right when they decide to start it, the blue trinket comes in. So Weibo know this is happening. Let's see if they can actually get the fight. The turn is coming in from KT Crisp, has to flash the wall as Kiin is looking for more. He catches the rumble, but does not actually get in there to bring him back into the team.
Well, they got to keep the pressure up. They can actually kill that ward because they have to go back and reset the control ward. So they've actually starved out the vision. There's 3 blue trinkets. There's only 1 left from TheShy.
And aiming is...
Aiming is what?
He's going for a little walk on the bottom side.
Is that real aiming or fake aim?
Just hanging out.
It's real aiming, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And, you know, he's going to be crucial. I mean, he's a huge amount of the damage on the Baron. He is also potential vision with his W's to be thrown in. Like, he needs to be there with his team.
I really feel like they could have kept going for Baron there.
Oh,
if
I
aiming,
think so.
If aiming had stuck around, he's all of their damage there. But they got maybe a fight in mid. No flash.
Yeah, he doesn't have his flash. The Q3 will come in. Will they actually commit onto Crisp? No, they will not. But they do get the Solar Flare out.
So they got his flash. Now they've got his Solar Flare. I mean, they are chipping away at the resources here for Weibo quite consistently. They took that vision away, too. They're going to clear this control ward here in mid. They have a wave. Lehends controls this brush. They have the red buff, hole as well. And this should be the moment to start this one up one more time. And let's see if Weibo with no vision can force the way through. TP coming out.
Well, they do want to go for the turn here as the ult goes in onto the Jarvan, but that is way too early. Kiin, level 16, trying to just zone away the entire team. As he is done as the jungler of Weibo is just gone. And Crisp is super low as well. Down will go Lehends, but that should be Baron over the side of KT. As Equalizer does go down onto BDD. They want to get a bit more on the side of Weibo, as Cuzz might just have to sacrifice himself here as the rest of his teammates do get out of the fight.
I mean, this is chaos, though. Cuzz is on the run. We have Mountain Drake coming up in a minute. Kiin is still around. Look how wide we have to go on the camera.
Oh, they got him!
TP!
With the shockwave, and there's the TP as KT thinking about a bit more. They've got aiming here. He does have that killer instinct. TheShy has to be so careful. He is not that tanky. That's where's the damage? Where's the follow-up? It's not coming in. His aiming finally has to flash on into this one just to try to turn it back. But now he's running out of Sivir, and down he will go. It's a huge shutdown into the hands of Xiaohu.
I feel like KT have severely bungled this. They had a lot of control. They did get the Baron, and then they back away and force the fight as Cuzz is escaping. They feel like the pull of the Orianna top side there, they can actually win the bottom side fight there, but it is just not to be. I love how they capitalize on Weiwei using his flag and drag here. They know they can actually burst him down. There's no way for him to get into the pit. He tries to Cataclysm, then they can kite back to the Baron. But it's at the moment the Baron is taken here that things start to go a little bit wrong.
Xiaohu is trying to put Weibo on his back and take them to 2-1. Full health this entire time. Now 5-0 on the Orianna. He chases all the way down just with the very last frame of that Orianna ult gets the kill. And it's just so chaotic here. Remember, Xiaohu comes all the way back around and actually closes this kill. And it looks like it's also going to give Weibo this Mountain Drake, which is just going to extend the game even more, get you even close to that 500 CS Sivir, the 6-item Orianna, and Weibo is feeling a lot better than they were about 10 minutes ago.
When your abilities are on cooldown as Kai'Sa too, you won't be able to compete with that Sivir. They did kill Crisp there, but Light is able to take him out in turn. BDD teleported in but didn't have ultimate, used it in the previous fight, so he has no damage output, and I think KT used a lot of resources there, ended up losing out. They're still massively ahead in terms of gold here. They are on soul point, but Weibo really turned what was a basically game-ending situation into a great one for them in terms of their chances, right? I'm not saying that they've won the game off this play, but their chances are much higher than they were just moments ago, as you can see here. That's a significant dip.
Tiny little dip there on the win probability powered by AWS is, it's giving them a chance. Saying, okay, Weibo are not out of this game.
There are stats and then there are feelings. And I feel like Weibo is not that far behind. I feel like actually KT is in an even game and fighting for their lives right now.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, Xiaohu, a pretty interesting spot here. He does get the Grom, and he should be okay. That W is going to hit him, but he just backs away to the turret.
Banshee's Veil done here for aiming.
Oh, the play from Lehends! What was that? Right over the wall! And that is a free Jarvan given over to aiming. And that is the jungler now of Weibo Gaming just gone.
Plus 100 gold Baron power play thanks to that kill right at the end. Hey, KT Rolster. But let's see if they can turn this into anything, because it's just so hard to push waves when Sivir and Orianna and Rumble exist. So they do have a temporary 5v4. I believe aiming is going to be able to babysit that wave into the bottom turret, and they should be able to clear one more.
Yeah, Kiin helping him out as well, and Cuzz coming over to threaten here. Seeing backs in the mid lane from Lehends. Looks like BD considering going back as well to get closer to that Void Staff here for some additional damage. But I think the timing of this Kai'Sa Neeko composition's dominance has certainly passed. Not to say that they don't have more money, and not to say that they're not ahead. They still have a decent amount of map control, but the Baron, I think, is almost required to end this game because of the wave clear you're talking about. And now some of the issues we talked about, some of the reasons why we thought KT's comp was inferior to Weibo's, may show up here despite the 7,000 gold lead for KT. I completely agree with you, Jet. This game is much closer than the numbers will show you.
I feel like the Sivir is as strong as the Kai'Sa, and the Orianna is stronger than the Neeko. So after that, the feelings go towards Viego needing to get an early reset, because it's actually Weiwei who is the person who ends up being the weakest. And you can see they, again, see him trying to deal with the vision. Flag and drag, either miss or interrupt from the Nautilus pull, and it's a one-shot.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to clear the vision. Trying to do whatever he can to keep his team alive and scaling. Both of their carries still have not died. Xiaohu and Light are just sitting on 0 deaths apiece. The rest of the team can't really say the same, but The rest of the team just there to support those two, as Light is in a very awkward spot.
It only takes one good fight.
He's, I think he's going to be okay, just because Cuzz can't really attack that by himself. TP from pretty far behind, that's BDD. He's looking for TheShy. He is going to get this huge burst, and he catches the rumble, but BDD nearly dies as an equalizer comes in. KT are going very deep. BDD has to try to follow up on this one. Kiin just trying to keep this fight alive as Weiwei gets the big combo in, and now they can't overextend into Weibo, as the damage is just huge if you go too far.
Every KT fan was holding their breath going into that choke point. Xiaohu has ult. If TheShy is alive and they hit a big shockwave there with Equalizer, KT are going to be really feeling it, but they do end up getting that pick there onto TheShy. His ult is burned, and you can follow up from here. Teleport from BDD is he's super bold, hoping that they're going to kite back as vision is cleared, and he actually finds it more than just a combo here, a three-man. He wants to take TheShy out. Now that damage is gone, and even though Xiaohu wants to come in here and set up a ball to get a big shockwave, he's just too late.
Kiin just missing that engage onto Light. It's so difficult for them to actually get onto the Orianna or the Sivir. So look at how hard they had to try just to kill Rumble, and now they're down BDD Flash. The stopwatch is burned. He doesn't even have Zhonya's completed. Aiming is actually maxed, so he does not get any stronger. They need to accelerate this game at this Baron or this Mountain Soul. Otherwise, I think Weibo will pull ahead.
Yeah, and then the poke is not how they're going to win this game. I mean, it's going to offer a little bit of damage here, can make the Baron angry in this case, but it's not going to kill anybody.
Weiwei just trying to start this one up with the team, as he is pretty tanky at this point. He can take this one, especially with the Sivir. They have so much Baron damage. KT forced into this fight. They do not have a choice, as Kiin looking to follow up on this one. As in goes aiming, finds Xiaohu, but look at that shield, it's just massive. As now TheShy, you've gone too far into aiming. He kites it back. There's the W, and Light, they finally take out the Sivir. He goes into GA, and Xiaohu, he's just gonna have to abandon ship. They finally get that pick onto the Sivir. They've been looking for this entire game.
They want it more. They want to try to get Xiaohu here. I don't think they can catch him.
The game's still not over.
I mean, it's not over yet. The Baron is still up. They have Mountain Soul available as well. Two massive objectives here for KT. They see Xiaohu's ball is placed, and they're looking to go through it in this fight. As soon as the ball goes down, that's when the call comes through, and Crisp decides that he is just done so. They go over his head. He's trying to peel. Knockup from the Nautilus ult comes through. Aiming kites back so well, and Xiaohu's out of the fight.
Yeah, I really think Aiming's the MVP of this fight. Being able to get backline access onto Xiaohu pushes him completely out of there, makes it so Light is also in a bad position, and that is the break that they've been looking for. But this Xiaohu guy, he's a demon. If he can actually stop them from getting this Mountain Drake, 37 minutes, 18 deaths for the team, still unkilled. If he can actually get this, it's going to be so close.
Weiwei's close.
Oh, the W comes in for the Kaisa, and that is the smite objective bounty. Oh, God, they got Kiin right behind him. They're trying to corral this one as he's got TheShy up against the wall, but the team is so far behind. The all-out comes in. There's the knockup from the Q, and in goes aiming. Immediately the rumble is popped, and the follow-up comes in from the side of KT. They say they don't need that Mountain Soul. They will just take your lives instead, as the Nautilus ultimate will get Weiwei, and that is a 3-for-0 as KT looks to push in.
This is insane.
This has got to be it.
This has got to be it. You have to think they've got enough damage to rip through these turrets. We're almost 40 minutes in. There's no way to hold.
Can they end it, is the question. The two carries, they remain, but the turrets are falling so unbelievably fast, and Xiaohu, he's just 100-0. There is no hope, and KT will get the job done in 38 minutes.
It looked like they had lost control. It looked like maybe we were going to see the comeback, but some clutch plays around those objectives. Look at how exhausted Lehends look as it crosses the stage here to fist bump, because this was a hard-fought win, and that final fight for Aiming, flying over Crisp, assassinating the enemy Rumble, kiting back. That's the kind of play you've got to be making if you are this renowned on Kaisa, and he lived up to it.
That's got to be one of the closest 15,000 gold difference games I've ever seen, because that's what it ended at, 76,500 to 62,000, 38-minute win for KT. And that's a journey. I'm so glad that we get to watch more of both of these teams throughout the World Championship. KT, such exciting games. Nervous, I learned today, is a synonym for exciting, so that explains what's happening with KT Rolster this whole time. Weibo as well, 2 heartbreakers. The close loss they had against G2, and then this draw against KT where they narrowly missed out on holding out for the win, moving to 1-2. What a day.
Yeah, this was definitely one. We weren't 100% sure which direction it was going to fly. But KT Rolster, they get that early lead. Aiming's like, okay, I'm exhausted, time for bed. Definitely did a lot of carrying in this one. But just overall, a great performance from KT. It did take them a while. They had that big overextension. And they made the game fun, at least. It was a good one. Weibo Gaming definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board after that one.
I think the defiance we saw from KT in that game was really palpable. You know, the constant vision clearing. They looked like they lost control. They slow played until that one perfect moment. They doubted Aiming's Kai'Sa in the draft. They let him have it. We started to doubt, can he still play this game on Kai'Sa in the late game? But he pulled it off in that final play.
They made it hard on themselves, almost. Like, they were so dominant in the early game, but like we saw the range disadvantage that they had and how difficult it was to cross over that barrier of Sivir and Orianna. But they did it. They earned it. 2-1.
They finally just sent it, and they got the job done. KT 2-1 will move on to the advancement stage. In the next one, we'll have to play a best of 3. But guys, we do have Worlds Cooldown up next. Let's throw it over the desk for that.
It's done, right?
It's done.
It's okay, they won. I can unclench. Oh my God. I know that they were ahead, but against that team comp, and if you're a KT fan, you know, never doubted them.
Before the Baron fight, it was starting to look, we were talking about it, we're like,
dicey.
Is Weibo gonna win? Orianna Sivir getting late game, and then Aiming kind of
Rumble as well.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. Come on, talk us through these highlights.
Early game from KT, textbook. Display from BDD, absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
Weibo had zero idea, right? And I think especially after the change that they made to Neeko so that you have more time to respond. Plays like this have happened so much less because there is more response time. But if you're not expecting it at all, if you think that's just a Nautilus, it makes complete sense.
It was beautiful. I mean, because it wasn't just a random Nautilus walking a lane. Lehends shows, steps back into fog right as BDD walks up. So it just basically was the timing of Lehends walking to ward Tribrush is what they thought happened, right? He's warding Tribrush, but instead it's BDD showing up. And that was such a cool play to watch. And then this in the late game was really what sealed the deal, it felt like. Aiming able to make such a difference, tags the W onto Xiaohu, pushes him out. Light is in the pit, so he can't get there to support. TheShy can't actually win that 1v1, and Aiming was just a monster on that Kai'Sa, as he has been for KT so many times.
Also a redemption moment, I think, for Aiming, because his last Kai'Sa game did make a couple of really high-risk plays that didn't work out at all, and particularly, as the casters were highlighting a lot as well, once it got to that point with that composition, you need to take that risk, right? You need to try and go for that backline dive, and if you don't go for that, and you just try to straight up 5v5, you might still end up losing because at that point you have a Sivir with like 3.5 items, Orianna that was getting close, to death cap, I think. So at that point, it's anyone's game.
It definitely is. You know, I was watching here, you were as well. There's such high-pitched screeches, particularly when KT is playing. Like, people are super stressed, it seems like, the whole time, even when they're ahead. Is that part of the attraction?
That's part of the KT experience.
Yeah, it's like everyone was stressed, even though it was like, oh no, like, it was crazy.
Yeah, because when you look at the gold graph, like, well, what are these guys complaining about?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have, and again, I think Cuzz's early game, to me, is something that is really underrepresented in a lot of the KT victories. Did really well, but it's also KT, so you've been in these situations and you know you can never unclench until that Nexus is gone.
False. Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, we can look at the bracket because this now means that Weibo is in the 1 and 2 pool.
And they look good.
And they do look good. They have 2 really close losses. They barely lost to G2. They were massively ahead. It was 99.4, 99.6% win probability. Then they lose again. And now you look at the 1 and 2 pool. It's 2 EU, 1 NA. You know that DK very likely to join there.
Yep.
You know, if everything goes to chalk, it'll be DK, NTL in that pool. So it'll be 2 EU, 2 NA, and then 1 Korea and 1 China in that pool. And everyone from EU and NA is going to be praying again that Weibo and DK meet up, you know, that it's that kind of Eastern matchup so they can dodge them.
Yeah, I think at this point, you don't, I mean, okay, listen, if I'm an LEC team, right, I would just, any matchup, and actually particularly one where you can really prove yourself and you have to go above and beyond, you would actually take that, because this is the World Championship. Like, wanting to beg for easy draws all the way, people who want to be a champion say, we're going to beat everyone who's in front of us. Now, Azael, not all roads are made equal. So if our draw god would be willing to maybe throw us a bone, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, not all draws are made equal. And honestly, you know what? We may not be world champions, but I'll take scraping through the Swiss bracket and a quarterfinals berth.
We never like, it's never with flying colors anyway, right? So might as well just scrape through.
I don't care what colors. I want to be in the next stage.
I agree. But Lore, she's standing by with Lehends. Oh, she's not. Sorry. She's setting up the mic. She is there.
Okay,
She's
I want to
always-
preface this.
Lehends is maybe...
Lehends is hilarious. And I really hope that he can calm down a little bit, because this to me is one of the most charismatic members, and particularly if you've ever heard his comms.
Yeah?
This guy, he's a little bit
What does he
crazy.
say?
It's not even just what he says. It's just he's like, you know, Singed, right? He's like,
Yeah, his Singed
that's
record,
the
yeah.
energy he has. He's just like giggling whenever he makes a play. He's I think really also the beating heart of that team, and one of the reasons why, to me, even though in playoffs he wasn't as good, KT looked so good in the regular season, and they became a lot more resilient, which for a lot of these players has been a consistent problem throughout their career.
Okay.
It's one of those interesting things that, you know, you can look on paper at the skill of players, but sometimes it is the mood makers in the team. It's the people that can get you happy, can get you upbeat, that really make a huge difference.
And apparently that's Lehends. And now,
There
for
you go.
real, standing by with Lore.
And welcome back to BSI for the Verizon post-game interview after KT takes down Weibo in their third match of the Swiss stage. And I'm here with support Lehends to talk about this one. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've talked with BDD before the game when you guys drew the team, and he was telling me that actually he didn't feel quite confident when it comes to this matchup and that they could be a difficult opponent. What was your understanding of Weibo and how did you prep for them?
우선은 인터뷰 정말 감사드립니다. 어제 드로우가 끝나고 BDD 선수와 이야기 나눴을 때 BDD 선수가 사실은 웨이보가 뽑혔는데 엄청나게 자신 있지는 않다. 조금 어려운 상대가 될 수도 있을 것 같다라는 평가를 내려주셨는데 리엔즈 선수는 웨이보란 팀을 어떻게 분석하셨고 어떤 식으로 준비하셨나요?
일단 BD 선수가 좀 뭐랄까 이게 좀 겁쟁이 같고요. 근데 저는 그냥 이길 수 있다고 생각을 했고 웨이보 같은 경우에는 더샤이 선수가 좀 변칙적인 플레이를 많이 해서 그냥 더샤이 선수만 조심하면 뭐 그렇게 크게 변수 없다고 생각했습니다.
I just think BDD is a coward, you know. I thought we were going to win today, and I think the only thing we had to watch out for going into this Weibo matchup is TheShy, because he is the one making unexpected plays. But other than that, I was feeling pretty confident.
Well, I love this kind of answers, honestly, but focusing a bit more on KT, it feels like everything was clicking today. Aiming played phenomenal. You guys had the best energy. Playing with BDD as well was honestly really well put. How strong do you guys feel right now when you compare to how strong KT was in the LCK playoffs in summer?
오늘 정말 모든 게 잘 딱 들어맞는 것 같았고 에이밍 선수도 눈부신 활약을 보여줬고 두 분의 시너지도 굉장히 좋았는데 그렇다면 LCK에서 보여줬던 KT의 그런 퍼포먼스에 비해서 지금 얼마나 더 강해졌다고 생각하시나요?
사실 뭐 정규 리그는 많이 이겼는데 끝이 안 좋았어가지고 사실 비슷한 것 같고요. 그냥 앞으로 좀 더 잘할 생각밖에 없습니다.
I mean, we did a good job during the regular split, and then our ending was not that great. So I think we are right now on the similar level, but I just want to keep working hard and, you know, perform better.
Could you give me some specifics on what you would like to work on to get better?
그러면 어떤 점을 조금 더 개선하고 싶으실까요?
아무래도 팀 합이 가장 중요한 것 같습니다.
Teamwork for sure.
Teamwork for sure. Focusing a bit more on your results in Swiss right now, you guys are 2-1. Where would you rank yourself among LCK team, and how strong do you think the LCK is right now at Worlds?
이제 스위스 스테이지 여태까지 성적이 2승 1패이신데요. 지금 다른 LCK 대표팀들과 비교했을 때 KT가 어느 정도로 강하다고 생각하시는지, 그리고 LCK 자체가 지금 어느 정도의 경쟁력을 갖췄다고 생각하시나요?
일단 저 개인적으로는 LCK가 당연히 가장 강하다고 생각을 하고 2승 1패 팀이 좀 많은데 잘하는 팀이 많은데 그래도 꼭 올라가서 징동과 경기하고 싶습니다.
For me, I personally think that LCK is the strongest, and there are quite a lot of 2-1 teams so far. So, you know, I just want to do my best and make it to quarters and play JDG.
And you among the LCK team, where would you be?
그러면 LCK 팀들 간에 좀 비교를 해보신다면?
저희가
네. 몇 등이다.
저희는 아래서부터 올라가겠습니다.
I just want to say we're gonna just start from bottom and just keep climbing.
All right, being humble here. 인터뷰 감사합니다.
네,
Thank you so
감사합니다.
much, Lehends and Jason. Thank you so much. Okay, Joel, sucks to lose again, I guess, and Shocks back to you.
Lol. Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
That's what he said. He's a coward, I guess. He thought this was going to be a hard match. Wow, I love it. So much personality. He said it, not only on the rift, but also off the rift.
Yeah, that's classic Lehends, and I think it really is for a team with players like Kiin and Aiming that in the past have struggled with being consistent. I think he's such an important part of why this team has worked as well as they did. Because I was very skeptical at the beginning of the year when the roster was announced, and they've obviously done really well for themselves.
Amazing. Love to see them win more so that we can get more interviews. Speaking of interviews, of course, KT were in this position in the first place because they couldn't take down BLG, and BLG earlier, they took down Fnatic, so Laura caught up with Bin in the Verizon post-game interview.
And we're back in the interview area as BLG grabs their second victory here in the Swiss stage, and I have Gigabin with me to talk about this one. Ni hao. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to follow up on something that T1 Zeus said in an interview, the fact that Oscar Renin may be one of the few Western top laners who could go toe-to-toe with LPL and LCK top laners. What did you think of him now that you faced him?
那首先恭喜你们获得这场比赛的胜利，也是拿下了第2胜。其实今天面对到 FNATIC 的一个上路选手，其实之前 T1 的宙斯选手有在一些采访当中提过，说他可能是比较少的一些欧美的一些选手，欧美的上路选手，但是是可以和 LPL、LCK 的上路来过招，来打得有来有回的。所以说今天面对到他以后有什么样的感受呢？
其实我之前就是训练赛，包括比赛都是没有预制攻他嘛，所以今天第一次跟这位选手对线的话，我觉得他其实玩得蛮好的。因为今天这把游戏其实我们前期我们是3v1把他虐死过一次的，然后第2波他对线换血非常成功吧，然后就配合打野又把我虐了。其实这个是他做的比较好的地方，然后也是我失误比较大的一个地方，所以就导致我们前期可能我上路本来应该是优势的，但是我变成有点小劣了。
To be honest, I haven't met against him like in the scrims or on stage, so this is my first time to play against him, but that definitely feels like he's a great player, and especially in the laning phase, we feels like we just make the tower dive against him, but after that, he just called the jungler together to make a tower dive back on me, and to be honest, this really surprised me a lot, and I feels like he just played so good, because after that, after the first tower dive, he can still like do a very good farming, and also admit some mistakes around there, so this could be the reason that why we just put ourselves in a disadvantage in the laning phase from the very beginning. So he just did amazing stuff.
Oh, thank you for these insights, promising from this rookie top laner. But focusing on you, you're one of the veterans and best top laners we have in the tournament. Who would you like to face here?
那其实说到你，你也是非常非常优秀的上单选手，在这一次世界赛的舞台上，有想和谁交手吗？
我觉得世界赛舞台上的每个上路选手都很强吧，不管是 就是欧洲还是北美、中韩，我觉得就是可能一只手都数不过来吧，就可能有6、7个，我认为都是实力非常强的上单吧。所以这次我也并没有特别想和谁交手吧，因为我只想和最强的队伍交手，不管是谁，只要能给我最强的队伍打就行了。
To be honest, I really feels like on the international stage, it's kind of the world championship. All the top laners are super strong. And if you let me to say one name, it's a bit hard for me because I can't call it with my hands. I mean, 6 or 7 names suddenly jumped into my hands. My hands, no matter it's from LEC, LCS, LPL, LCK, definitely are super strong. But what only thing I'm thinking about now is I really have a very strong willing to compete with the strongest team at the world to challenge them. So that's my thought.
We really have amazing players here at Worlds this year. A bit of question about the meta. We mostly have bruisers on the top lane right now. How would you rate the importance of top lane?
那也想问一下关于当前版本的问题。其实我们感觉现在好像上路很多的是重装战士嘛，所以说你怎么去看待可能当前一个上路版本的生态，包括说影响力呢？
我认为其实现在的版本跟夏季赛没有太大的变化吧，可能就是多了像兰博、凯兰这种 AP 的英雄吧。但是我也希望之后比赛能拿出一些别人就是觉得不一样的英雄吧。但是目前来说，最稳妥的还是选择这些重装战士是最稳妥的。
Definitely, it feels like compared to the meta from the summer split, there's not much changes about the top lane champion choices. We just have more options like Cannon or like top lane Lambo. But after that, to be honest, I really would like to maybe someday on stage I can pick some different ones, different champions. But for now, maybe the safer choice, I'll just stay with those bruisers.
And I hope you can bring new champions here at Worlds. Last question for you, Bin. At MSI, you sent a message to Western fans in English and they loved it. Is there anything else you want to say to the Western fans here today?
Thank you, my fans, and we want to be the champion. I will be the champion. So, look my show.
Thank you so much, Sheshe. Thank you so much,
Thank
Wendy,
you.
as well for the translation. And back to you.
Thank you for that. I want the messages to get spicier as we go on. You know, Ben, not like he was flaming people, but he definitely had some interesting interviews back at MSI.
Absolutely, but I did really enjoy, what he's talking about, Oscar Ennen. It was extremely complimentary from one of the best top laners in the entire world. That has to be a really cool moment for Oscar to be able to actually listen and hear those words from one of your peers and someone you really respect. I think there's nothing better than that as a pro player.
Oscar should make like one of those things that Chakrez has been making, like with that
The
quote about
yeah.
Ben on Oscar Ennen and just hang it in his room. That would be nice. But awesome to hear from Bin. BLG had a wonderful game versus Fnatic where they got put behind early, but they were just so good in the team fighting. And I forgot already. Can we take a look at the bracket one more time? Because there's been so many matches. Okay, great. Tomorrow, Team Liquid versus GAM, a best of 3, and Deepliskia versus Team BDS. And these are elimination matches tomorrow. The very first ones that we're going to see here in the Swiss stage.
Yeah, some hearts are going to get broken tomorrow. And I think in particular, I'm going to be looking towards D+, because that team has not looked really like themselves in any of the games we've seen thus far. And wouldn't be the first time we saw BDS actually be able to hold on well against JDG at the beginning. So maybe especially with, I think they did, right? Like, obviously they were...
No, I just love it. Yeah, because we're looking at the co-bangles and this is a great one.
No, but also, like, I love this D+ roster, and all I want is for them to play to their level. But right now, they're so far away that even in the best of 3, like, I don't think any D+ fan is going to go into that feeling like, oh, we're going to make it to the 1-2.
Well,
100%.
I think that's the key thing, because it is that 0-2 round, so the mental aspect of it comes so much into play. If you feel you have a bad draw, if you're getting frustrated with those losses, if you're arguing with your teammates, you don't really know what team is going to show up on the day.
That's true, but that team has deft, and that team has a possibility to start from an 0-2 position. I'm just saying, tomorrow is Deft's birthday. We can keep going, but we'll remind you tomorrow as well, and we will be back tomorrow with the first best of 3 elimination matches here at Worlds, where we'll say goodbye to the first 2 teams in the World's Swiss stage. We'll see you tomorrow.
Please not TL.
Forced the flash and fudge. Now level 6 is up.
Oh, he's taken way too much damage from that equalizer already. He's going to go straight into the death chamber. Goes in up to the recon. His owner just doesn't give a damn. He has Keria behind him. Gets him in the death chamber. That's the ultimate touchdown, and everybody is going down. C9 rather trying to retreat out of this one. That's a huge fight comes out from Keria, and they turn this one around, and even the tower can't get into this one. As Keria will disable that, this might just be a clean ace going into the hands of T1, and that it is.
Yes, face. I'm here, it's fine. I can tank. Okay, it's fine. I think go. No flash. Hi. Guys, I want to fight on German. Okay, okay, I'll show then.
Scali. I flash now.
Can Nitsky survive against the big tree? I'm not so sure one auto might do it, and that will be contract.
Number, nice! Zero flash. Wait, this is Penta, by the way. Oh my god. DJ, I don't care about your Penta. Yeah.
And now, the TPs are coming in, they just want to end the game! Energy, they don't want to even deal with the Elder, and they will not have to!
Look now. Yeah, I shield you. I think she's dead, by the way.
Just fight till the end.
Very good, boys.
Nice one.
I can shield you, Oski.
Nice.
TP mode.
Nice. TP, well played top.
The steadfast presence in, he wants to stem plant, but he's not gonna get it, as ticking away is Oscar. Oh, he gets the shield! As now they're gonna send it into the rest of BLG, as Elk, he's just gonna stay alive though! You can't even get on top of him with it! And Bin comes in! Here's BLG. but Lehends, does Weibo have any idea about this very tricky play? Very, very tricky. They have no idea. They both get caught by it. The double root comes in. Will anybody actually go down? It's Amy. They do not have a choice. Is Kiin looking to follow up on this one? As in goes Amy. Finds Xiaohu, but look at that shield. It's just massive. As now TheShy, you've gone too far into aiming. He kites it back. There's the W. And Light, they finally take out the Sivir. He goes into GA.
What's your play?